Are you afraid?
You didn't really think I would remake an old video just for funsies, right? It's also because I'm desperate, please subscribe. No, it's time to celebrate Spooktober in style. 7 days, 7 videos on different extra spooky games. There will be laughs, there will be scares, but probably it will mostly be bad jump scares and terrible voice acting.
Behind you! There's a...
Sometimes it'll be gameplay and other times short reviews. I don't know, I'm riffing here, okay? So welcome to 7 Days of Fear.
The story of Rule of Rose is dark and fascinating.
No, I'm not talking about the plot, I'm talking of the actual piece of plastic here. We'll get to the story it tells later. And just like all dark, creepy and horrific stories, it all started in Italy. Meet Guido Castellano. He's a young journalist with great ideas and equally great ambitions. He wants to write about serious, important topics. Not the fact that major mob boss has been finally caught. Not the fact that the son of the last king of Italy has been arrested for corruption and pandering. No, Castellano knows that the real evil lurking in the shadows is video games. Rule of Rose, what is this about? Mamma mia, there are kids here! Quick, give me my pen, paper and laxative. I've got an article to write. Whoever buries the girl wins. What the fuck? The whole article is full of lies, which makes sense since they wrote Pinocchio, or maybe they were just angry at the homosexual undertones between two characters. Of course that would get them angry. They're amongst the most homophobic countries in Europe, come on. And there would be more to say, like the fact that Castellano, when writing his article, plagiarized from a review made by a 17-year-old boy who'd grow up to become a game designer, and hey, his next game seems interesting. Now, nobody cares about what Italians think, right? That's why we've got pineapple pizza. Nobody likes it, it's just to keep them in their place. But for some screwed up reason, people actually listen to this guy. Politicians get involved. Point is, we can thank Italy. If this game got banned in pretty much the entirety of Europe and ended up costing me over 200 euros, goddammit! And for what, really? Not to say this game isn't heavy in its subjects, but I can't imagine most people being able to get past the 2 hours mark before wishing they were the ones who got buried. Yeah, there's a small issue with Rule of Rose. Behind one of the most intriguing and original stories ever told in the medium, behind an amazing orchestral soundtrack, behind memorable characters, there hides a game that can bear the title of the Dark Souls of horror games. This boss is doable. But wait, what the hell? And by that I mean that the hitboxes make less sense than the ramblings of a flat earther. The difference is that Dark Souls compensated those issues by being, fun. But what do you do in Rule of Rose? What's so incredibly despicable that a whole continent went bananas over it? You spend a year finding gifts for little girls. These girls are not evil, they want me to get them a cute butterfly. I found it! There it is! That's the cute butterfly! No, wait, no, don't eat that, I need it! Playing this game is comparable to the same experience you'd get playing OG Resident Evil with a guy that hand all the time. You're not in charge of exploring, your doggy is. He's the real protagonist, you're just a sidekick. Okay, so here's how it goes. You find the key object, you make the doggy smell it, then start chasing him around to the next key item or extremely uncomfortable cutscene. And then back to point A. I wish I was exaggerating, but that's pretty much what you do for a good 80% of the game, and you'll wish it was 100% whenever the game decides you should take some responsibility in life and maybe try to figure things out yourself. Well, sorry, but after 6 hours I still can't figure out the layout of this big-ass blimp we're riding because every room looks the fucking same. It's like if Spencer Mansion was decorated by the average office space interior designer. Just the same plain color in the same plain, undistinguishable corridors. Puzzles are pretty much non-existent, but don't worry, we got the spooky monsters to keep things exciting and I guess in the 2000s these looked like the scariest shit ever. Today they're just funny. Well, they would be if the game didn't expect you to fight them. Tank controls aren't enough for you? Well, in Rule of Rose you control an actual tank that looks and talks like a well-behaved British girl, and that doesn't even begin to explain how clunky this thing controls. They'll want you to believe you play as young Jennifer, but really I'm convinced she's actually an old grandma, cause that's the only thing that would explain why she can flex her arm a bit more. What are you doing? Oh, but this is a survival horror. The weaker you are, the better, right? I agree with that sentiment. Fighting should be a last resort solution. But the combat designer was sleepy during the daily meetings and must have thought he was working on the new Madden, so he decided to just pit you against 15 monsters conveniently spawned all around you so that they can unlock you and maul you to death. And Doggy, what the hell are you doing? Stop barking and help me! Okay, never mind, he died after barking 3 times. It's so frustrating, so repetitive, so flawed, and you should absolutely play it. Yeah, we got to the...
But wait! There's more!
Yeah, the exploration is pretty tedious, sure, but it's got its moments, you know? And the combat, well, no, okay, screw the combat. But the plot is what will grab your attention. Come on, it's set in Strange Hill, that's the best hill. Children have been used in horror since forever, but it was always more of a... what if little Timmy is possessed by Satan? I don't know, Samantha, maybe you're just a bad mom. Rule of Rose instead understands that children are Satan. You grow to hate the characters that constantly bully Jennifer, but you get to see these brief moments where they show themselves for what they really are. Victims of a society that has abandoned them. They're left alone to go full Lord of the Flies, so they call themselves princess, aristocrat, queen, to reclaim the recognition adults have refused to give them and traded instead with contempt at best and abuse at worst. But these rigid aristocratic rules they imposed over themselves is what ultimately makes this oligarchy crumble. Titles and formalities can't substitute their need for genuine love, and they're all soon at each other's throats, not out of hatred, they all just want to be respected, to be put on a pedestal, to be loved. And left without guidance at such a tender age, they make choices that will haunt them in their adult life, unless they immediately end up paying their consequences. It's not a conventionally scary game, but it's deeply disturbing and unsettling, yet the writers touched on heavy subjects with care and thoughtfulness. So I generally don't get why so many people try to convince us this game will turn us into psychopaths. Alright, boss time. Okay. You're puking? What the hell is that? There you are. Come on. Let me... Okay, I got her. What? Doggy, for the love of Christ, be useful. Why? You were hitting the goddamn dog, not me. I've been hitting her for half an hour. When does she die? Okay, come on. No, please. I can't move. Okay, so if I attack her twice, she stops her attacks. That's at least what I learned so far. 1. There we go. Wait, no, what? This game doesn't play by the rules. God. Okay, no. Dodger. Okay. What the fuck? How did you even fall there? Well, you can be as slow as you want, but I'm going to use the power of emulation. Oh yeah, 300 times faster. Now it's playable. Now I die even faster. I swear this is actually gonna work, okay? This is playable. I'm having fun. You know, maybe they were right. This game is bad for your mental health.
I want to be dead when I am in bed. I can be so mean, you can beat me. I would like to shame you, I would like to blame you.